So, hey there, everyone, and welcome to today's session. I'm Cindy Brockway, and most of you probably know that I am a retired educator, and I'm also a certified self-expansion coach with an Etsy shop that I've had since 2010. And what I do is help high achieving midlifers, people like me. And I love to help them create more clarity and steadiness in forward movement without adding more pressure into an already full life. Does your life feel full right now? If so, give me a thumbs up or raise your hand or just type yeah in the comments. So today we are we are talking about something that many of us experience. We need clarity, we seek clarity, but one thing we don't need is more pressure. Sometimes we say that we want clarity, but without realizing it, we begin pressuring ourselves to find it, putting on the guilt. We start telling ourselves, I should already know what to do. I need to make a decision. I'm running out of time, or why can't I figure this out and stick with it? I need to get moving. Do any of those thoughts sound familiar? A lot of times, what's going on up here is not exactly what we know should be going on in here. And instead of creating clarity, those thoughts create even more mental noise and pressure. And you can feel that pressure when you start replaying conversations in your head over and over, or you start considering every possible outcome. And you might make longer and longer lists of things that need to be done in order for you to accomplish that, or that you should have said, or that you could say. And then sometimes we ask five different people what they think because we just can't make a decision. Or for me, sometimes jumping from one task to another, back and forth, because everything feels so important. We're not really sure where to focus our attention. And this this idea of being busy all the time, productive. That was my biggest issue is one task after another, trying to figure out what I need to do to get everything done at the same time. You ever feel that way? And we may look like we're busy and like we're productive. On the outside, people think, wow, she gets a lot of things done. But inside, we are spinning. We're uncomfortable. We're stressed. Um, we are dealing with anxiety. And those things just pile on the pressure. And we just need to remind ourselves that pressure and clarity are not the same thing. Piling on all those tasks, all that busyness, all that productivity, thinking that the more we do, the quicker we're going to get to the final solution. But you know what? All of that pressure just makes us tighten up, get stressed, get anxiety, eat. Are you one of those people that eat when you're stressed? Yeah. But clarity is much different than that. Clarity helps us breathe again. Clarity or seeking clarity should not feel tight, tense, or stressful. Pressure, it says, you know what? You need to solve everything right now. You should have already done that. Why can't you do it? Clarity is so much different. Clarity says, let's notice what actually needs our attention next, right now, not stressing about what is in the future, what is in the next few hours even. Sometimes it's important to stay in the moment. So let's talk about that idea of pressure looking like productivity, like you're being productive. It doesn't always look like you're in a panic. No, sometimes pressure looks like you're just being super productive. It can look like you're researching one more option or one more product idea, one more solution. Sometimes that pressure is rewriting the same plan again and again, or maybe revisiting notes that you've written. And the answer is the same, but you still haven't followed through on it. Another thing I think that can bring on the pressure and, make us feel like we're accomplishing a lot is when we check our phone constantly so that we don't miss a notification or we don't miss an email or we don't miss a text. And while it is important for us to maintain those connections with people, it's really not necessary for us to do it 24/7 because sometimes you don't need to just add more things to your list to feel like you are accomplishing something. You might have goals for your future. Maybe it's in a relationship, maybe it's for a business, maybe it's at work, and you have goals, but you don't have to accomplish them all at once. Sometimes it's so much easier to make progress if you just tackle it one little step at a time. I had an administrator that used to tell me, Cindy, how do you eat an elephant? A great big massive elephant. The same way you eat a little tea cookie, one bite at a time. So that's how it works. Trying to predict what everyone else might need or what everyone else might think or what everyone else might expect of me is not being um, productive. It's adding pressure on yourself or staying busy all the time because when you slow down, it feels uncomfortable. It feels like you're not accomplishing anything. And often we tell ourselves we're working on the problem or we're working on the next step or we're working on building this or accomplishing that. But sometimes what we're really doing is simply circling around it. Hmm. And that is an important difference because we stay busy and we circle and circle and circle and we never fully finish it up. Hmm. So I want you to think, have you ever felt that way about maybe a business decision or a family situation or maybe a caregiving responsibility, a relationship, maybe a financial situation or a personal goal? You genuinely want to make a thoughtful choice. But when pressure takes over, every thought begins to feel urgent. Every option starts to feel heavy. Every decision seems as though it has to be permanent. And you start feeling stuck. You start treading water. You start circling. And all that does is just make it much harder to recognize what really matters and to be able to move forward. So when you're in this sense of urgency in whatever situation that you might be in at the moment, it can really blur what matters most because that urgency, that angst, that goal that you have for yourself, it has a way of placing everything at the same level of importance. Everything. So the small task, it feels just as important as those major decisions. And someone else's expectations of you feel just as urgent as your expectations you have for yourself. A situation that can wait until next week feels as though it has to be solved right now. And when everything feels that urgent, when you put all that pressure on yourselves, it really becomes difficult for you to be able to hear your own wisdom, to stay in touch with your own desires, your own needs. And you begin reacting to whatever is loudest instead of responding to what's most important. And I know sometimes it is hard to let those loud things stay in the background for a time. And those situations where they get louder and louder and louder, whether it's a person, whether it's a situation, whether it's a relationship, they get louder because they think the louder they get, the quicker they're going to get to you. But that is just a vicious cycle. And this can be especially true for those of us who are used to us being the one who is capable, the one who is making the decisions, the one who they have depended on over and over and over, whether or not it was a healthy dependency. So the person who thinks ahead, who handles the details and tries to make life easier for everyone else, that's probably where a lot of us start treading water. We start circling because we have been, I call it like being a fixer. We've been the fixer for a very long time. But over time, we learn that we are not responsible for everyone else's problems. You may be carrying your own questions while also thinking about hmm, what your spouse needs, what your partner needs, what your children need, what your parents need, what your clients need, what your business needs. That's a lot to carry if everything is equally important in your way of dealing with it. That is a lot of information for one mind to hold on to at the same time. And that's when we start circling. We're staying busy, we're moving, we're circling though. We are not getting to the core solution. So when clarity is not coming and you find yourself circling, it does not necessarily mean that you're confused, unmotivated, incapable, that you don't care anymore. You may simply be trying to process too much at once. And that is not a fault. That is a reminder. That is a nudge on the shoulder. Clarity can come gently. Gently. We often expect clarity to arrive and be the big answer and it's all said and done, but it's not often that simple. We don't often head into difficult situations with a complete plan or a perfect decision or a guarantee that everything is going to work out. Clarity's a little bit different. It comes much more gently than that. So I want you to think about it. It might come like a conversation that needs to happen. One simple conversation. Clarity might come when you make a decision to wait on something or to give yourself permission to gather more information or deciding that this responsibility is not mine to carry and stick with it. Or recognizing when you need rest before you make another decision. Or that that's a task that can wait for another day. That there's something else that matters more today. And be okay with that. That may not answer every question we have, but it gives you somewhere grounded to begin, to start moving forward, to stop circling. Clarity does not always show up with the entire path, the entire solution, the A to Z. It doesn't. Sometimes it just shows up with one next steady step. Not all of this guessing and worry and fret. One steady step. And for today, that's enough. Let that be enough. So let's do a simple clarity pause together. You can close your eyes if you want to, but if you're driving or doing something else and you can't close your eyes, that's okay. but just allow yourself to slow down for a minute and take in a comfortable breath. Just take in a deep breath. Fill your lungs and then slowly let it out. Now, I want you to think of one situation where you've been wanting more clarity. Not a whole bunch of things. One, one situation, just one. And notice what pressure you have put on yourself. What is it? That pressure could sound like you telling yourself, I should already know. I should have already made this decision. I need to hurry. I can't disappoint anyone. I've always said yes, and now I need to say no, and it doesn't feel good. I have to get this right. I need to handle it all. Simply notice, what is that pressure that you're putting on yourself? And don't criticize yourself for it. It is perfectly natural. Just notice, where are you putting the pressure on? And then I want you to think about what becomes clearer, what could become clearer if you were to remove that pressure that you put on yourself in that specific situation. If you take, if you let up on the pressure, take the foot off the pedal. What becomes clearer when you do not have to solve the entire big situation? Maybe you realize that you need to have just one conversation for now, not about the whole future, just today. Today's decision, today's conversation, dealing with whatever's going to come up later. Maybe you need to write down the facts instead of continuing to rehearse your fears. So when you're having a hard time getting clear on a decision, write down the facts, the facts. And then one of the hardest things to do, I think, is to set boundaries. Sometimes we have to set boundaries that we haven't set in the past, but it's time and it's okay. If you were to solve just one thing, set that boundary and stick to it, how much more clearer would the situation be? Maybe you need to finish one small task, whether it's related to your business, to your job, to your caregiving. Just finish one small thing to take some of the pressure off. Maybe you need to pray, to rest, to meditate. Give yourself another day. Or maybe the clearest answer is that this situation that you have been circling and circling and circling can wait. If it can wait, let it wait. If it's been circling and circling and circling for far too long, then consider setting that boundary so that you can get it done. So here is a simple question that I want to leave with you today. What is one grounded, steady step that you can take without forcing the rest of the answer. So think about a situation that you've been circling, circling, and circling. What is one grounded step you can take to kind of stop the circle, stop the circling, stop the spinning? It doesn't have to be the most impressive step you've ever taken, not the step that proves how productive you are, not the step that fixes everything for everyone else. One grounded step for now, for now. One step and stick with it. That's it. One step, and then you can move on to the next step. And it's important to remember that one grounded step is going to be something that fits your current capacity. I love that term, capacity. Your ability, that grounded step that you need to make needs to fit in with your current capacity. It is realistic for the season that you're in, that it respects your energy and your responsibilities and your values at the moment. And it moves you forward without requiring you to have everything figured out. Small does not mean unimportant. I'll say that to yourself. Small does not mean unimportant. A small, honest step can create more clarity than hours of pressured thinking. I'm going to say that one more time. Small, honest step can create more clarity and calm than hours of pressured thinking and circling and spinning. So as you move through the rest of your day and through this coming week, I want you to remember that you do not have to pressure yourself into clarity. You can create enough space to notice what is true, to give yourself room to breathe. You can separate what is urgent from what is important. You can stop carrying decisions that do not have to be made today. And you can choose one next step without demanding the entire plan. You don't have to have it all figured out. Clarity is not always loud and organized and completely finished. That's it, said and done. It doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. The answers don't always arrive quickly. Sometimes they come through one quiet realization. And it might be that this is what matters now, right now. So take a breath, lower the pressure you have on yourself, and ask yourself, what is one grounded step that's within your capacity that you can take without forcing the rest of the answer? I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments if you feel comfortable. Even one word can help you name what you need to do next. So I thank you for spending these few moments with me today. And before we close, I just want to gently invite you to take this reflection that we've been doing today, Take it a little bit further. If you've been moving through your days with a lot on your mind and not much room for joy, my joyful mindset awareness check-in might be able to help. It'll help you notice what might be quietly draining your joy and what could help you reconnect with your joy. And I will be putting the link to that resource down in the comments or and in the description box if you happen to be watching on YouTube. And if you're ready to get some ongoing support to help you reset your rhythms, to rethink your strategies, to reconnect with what matters most to you, our Fall Mind Moments cohort, our quarterly cohort begins August 10th. And it's a gentle 12-week practical experience with live support, and it begins the week of August 10th. We get together every single week, and you get all 12 weeks for just $27. So you can learn more about how to join us if that's what you're interested in by clicking on the link in the description box or in the comments. There's no pressure to do any of this today, though. I want you to just simply notice which next grounded step feel supportive to you and feels aligned for you. So as we say goodbye, take good care of yourself and remember, you are allowed to move forward with clarity, steadiness, and without all the pressure. We'll talk to you guys next week. Bye bye.